you prepare enough, because it's prudent that at the end of the day, at your first scheduled hearing, you need to make sure it's a positive decision, because appeals are expensive. And what are the chances of you going through appeal? Because if there are a lot of contradictions in your case, there's no way you can readdress it on appeal. Because on appeal, you're going to argue you're going to argue on the law, okay, not the facts. Because if the board member, let's say, mistakenly misconstrued your case and did give it like a better interpretation, then either you can go for judicial review, or you can still challenge those grounds on appeal. But let it not be on grounds of, in terms of you forgetting, making those distinctions between the dates, between at what point were you while maybe during internal flights. Let's say you move from point A to point B. Now you're mixing up these facts. And then instead of saying I started from point A, you say I started from point B to point A. So whose fault is that? So we need to prepare. You need to avoid such. These are costly mistakes, which cannot be addressed on appeal. You'll go on appeal, you'll go for humanitarian, but at the end of the day, your case will not be found. It will be found to be wanting. Nobody's going to believe you. And what happens? You'll be deported. Why? Because you didn't invest time. However good your story is, but if you don't understand, if you don't know it, it affects you, it affects people around you. Edith will have played her role. She has organized information sessions. She's brought experts to talk to you guys. But if you don't follow it, then it becomes a problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do our best. Let's invest time. Let's consult as widely as possible. Then would be, I usually say, better citizens. Okay? Yeah. Okay, what happens after you have a positive decision, you've been welcomed to Canada, it's all merry, merry, you're smiling all the way. A lot of things, still, it's a good step, because that you've taken off that first stress. But there are still other hurdles, there are other barriers. Things like, okay, now that I am secure in this country, what is my next step? Do I want to continue with my studies? Do I want to continue with the job that I'm doing? Or do I need a second career? What do I want? So within all that, you're being tormented by a lot of questions. And it's you and the people you talk to, or the people you consult, that would guide you through this. Because some people, even the professionals that come in, like internationally trained lawyers, professional doctors, professional teachers, when they come here, they are so bombarded by a lot of things, a lot of factors. So they end up not knowing what to do, what would be their next step. Because all these choices that you make, it's critical in your life in Canada. The next thing I'll talk about, so once you have a successful court hearing, what would be the next step in your immigration status? So at that point, once you have a notice of Once you have a notice of decision sent to you by the board member, by the Immigration and Refugee Protection Board, you need to apply for permanent residence, because you need to elevate your status from a convention refugee or a protected person to another status, which is permanent residence as a protected person. So in this PR application, you will be required as well to file for if you're married, for your spouse. If you have a partner, you file for your common law partner, and your dependent children, if you have children, or adopted children. So all those become your dependents. So the first step was free. Now this one, you need to pay. There are fees that you need to pay for it, for the application. For adults, it's $570 for every adult. For children, it's $155. You file, you fill it out the forms, then you file for this application. It takes about 22 months, sorry, to be processed, 22 months. But sometimes applications are processed faster. Some people tell you it's been within 12 months, 8 months. I don't know how that happens, but the requirement of the law is 22 months. So there's a miracle in the works. Yeah, there's a miracle. So, I mean, it's a blessing in itself, because the 22 months, some people are all stressed up. They call you, oh, we filed this. Haven't 22 months reached? You say, not yet. Keep waiting. Oh, could you please check with immigration? How far with my application? And you're like, keep waiting. But eventually, the application would be processed. And my advice is, in all this, during this application, even after, we need to remain as civil and law-abiding as possible. Let's avoid, because there's a stereotype against black people. Issues of criminality. We need to avoid these costly mistakes. Avoid ourselves. Don't be as law-abiding as possible, because it helps you, it helps people around you, it helps people who talk to you, it helps everybody, the country as well. Because let immigrants be known to be hardworking. Let's be known for the skill that we bring into the country, for our impact. Not the negative side, but the positive impact that we bring in the country. Because once you involve into criminality, it's going to, the first thing that is going to affect is your immigration status. And you'd have done a disservice to yourself. So let's be as critical, let's be as careful as possible. It does no harm for you to be humble. It does no harm for you to be law-abiding, to be friendly, to be honest. I mean, there are a lot of challenges, but we all go through challenges. You should know how to deal with some of these challenges. Talk to people. They will guide you through. There's no one is an island. We need to talk to people. We need to learn how to share. Whatever situation. Because if you don't consult, you'll never learn. You'll never know how to better yourself. You might think, oh, I don't want to do that because this is what I think. That's the wrong direction. It's dangerous. Okay? Lastly, I'll talk about studying. If you come into this country, always strive harder to move to a next step.